So I wanted to get some rest, so I took off for the next 4 days. I won't go back to work till Monday. Want to talk about something very sincere. Um, why black women make it difficult. USA black women. The Euro black women are different, and the African black women are different. But the USA black women, she has so much of the plantation thinking that it's just not mathematically logical. Let's dig into this. Now, I got this idea listening to Miss J over with Concrete Rose, and Miss J, she appeared to be just inserting chaos up here, up here. I haven't had a one-on-one conversation with her, but it just appears that she was inserting chaos. And a lot of times when we guys are expressing something, the thing that women do, they like to say, oh, well, you just don't like women, or they like to come with some narrative that makes them seem like they're innocent of any drama. Okay. The reality is oh yeah, click the bell to all if you want to know when I'm going live. Click the bell to all. That way you will know when I'm going live. Uh, so I wanted to get into this and just really dig into why so many of these things happen. Okay. And it comes down to a respect factor. Now, I'm going to do a couple of these videos today while I'm doing some house stuff, but I wanted to express my mind to why these things happen. So, blame it on Mr. Research, blame it on Mr. Latre. Um, this is what it is. Just want to kind of get you guys to understand. So, teenage boys. I've traveled a lot, and I've realized women love to look at teenage boys as men. And this is one of the reasons why it's very difficult to love black women in the USA. Black women always have this catch 22. Black women always want to have an open ended agenda. They're always looking to talk about two ends of a conversation. It's never the same. They're always trying to put themselves in a position to win every argument. When you look at, I'm about to get to black women, but when you look at uh, female teachers, what's the number one thing female teachers always say? He looks like a man. You know that's a boy. Well, black women do the exact same thing. Look at teen boys as men. You will even hear them refer to a teen boy as a man. I've heard women talk about 15-year-olds and then they end the quote, these men. How is it these men when you know he's 15? You'll hear black women talk about 19-year-olds and they'll say, these men. See, a lot of this stuff started with women watching young teenage rappers, not older rappers, young ones, dudes 22, 23. And then they would always say, these men. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. Let's talk about the out of wedlock birth rates. Did you know? That's calculated. 15-year-olds, 13-year-olds, those are not men, they're boys. See, the problem with a lot of this stuff is that women want young guys they can control. They long for young guys they can control. And even the 20% of good women, even the 20% of good women know this to be true. Because when they hear women talk, what is the number one thing they talk about? Young dudes. And they frown on older dudes. Now, when you go outside of America, it's the total reverse. The older black men are celebrated more than younger black men. Interesting. Very interesting. See, in this country, teenage is sought after because what women want many times is revenge. They want revenge on men. They don't necessarily want love. I've seen it in my own sisters. I've seen sisters get treated well. I've seen sisters not get treated well. Number of sense. Do you think no, there's no such thing as being more humble. No, no, no. It's not. No, not at all. That's and black men shouldn't even be worried about that stuff. But no, I don't think they do at all. No, that's not going to happen. It would take 3 years of what we got going on right now for that to happen, Jeremy. They're they're too the laws are too much in their side for them to really see anything. So you would have to have about 3 years for them to even realize that. But back to the title. You see, a lot of women don't really want love. They want control. They want control. They want guys who they think they can boss around. That's why they introduced the title Boss B. And a lot of dudes went with it. But who went with it? It wasn't the older dudes, it was the young boys. 24, 26, barely getting started in life. Got their first 10,000 and they were feeling themselves. You see, in our community, the women don't want older guys with younger girls, but they want older women with younger boys. And they call those young boys men. And when those young boys don't want to do what they want them to do, they say, I'm tired of these black men. Wait a minute. Most of them are boys. So this can't be, and I'm hoping one of these black women come in so we can have this discussion. But see, that's not sincerity. That's not a person wanting to be connected to something righteous, something real. No, she wants somebody who's willing to do the things that she wants done. And this isn't, like I said, this is really the 80%. This isn't the 20%. This is the 80%. The 80% are looking for that. They're looking for a dude to control. But my point is, have you ever noticed it's always a teenager or a young dude? Dude ain't even made 30 yet. He ain't put a weapon in his hand yet. He ain't built nothing yet. But she calls him a man. And this is why it's so difficult because you're dealing with a group of human beings that want a boy. and frown on. I knew this when I was 17. When I was 17, I dated older girls, and they were, you had older women who complained that older guys wasn't available, but I saw older guys available everywhere. They just wasn't with the BS. And I said to myself at 17, when I get older, I'm not going to be with the BS either, because I see how these women try to manipulate young dudes. I was never the type of dude to allow myself to be manipulated. But there's a lot of women who will walk around, seek out the worst, gullible, eh, eh, no ambition, no plan. I want to work with my woman. I want to work with my wife. That's a failure attitude. I'm not saying don't work with her. I'm saying you should have a plan. I got a plan for my family. See, that's frowned upon in this black community. In this black community, that type of approach is frowned upon. When you have women who say they want love, but then you strategically see them go after the worst candidates. You strategically see them going after the worst people. How can you want love? So, with that said, the number one thing that you should be focused on is who is established. I'm not talking about getting money, because I can do sales and make a lot of money, but that don't mean I'm established at sales. You can make a total load of money. It doesn't mean anything. But you will always get women who try to make it mean something. Always. This proves people are not interested in love. They're interested in the type of guys that they can control. And it ain't nothing wrong with that. It ain't nothing wrong with that. But don't whine about it. Don't pretend as if you don't know where all of the black male teachers are located. Go to a black male teachers event. You act like you don't know where all of the black engineers are. Go to the black engineer event. You do all this pretending as if you have no clue where this stuff is, but you know where it is. You're all. Let's take the black woman's daughter, for example. Okay, the black woman's daughter is told, go after this young boy who is your age, because I don't want to see you hurt. But then the young daughter gets hurt by the young boy, and the mother still says, go after the boy your age. When the young daughter finally gets tired of it, and I've seen this many a time, when the young daughter finally gets tired of it, and the young daughter dates somebody older, and she's happy, the mother tries to break it up. The mother tries to break it up. Now, make that make sense. Outside of America, and I've lived in England, I've lived in Romania, I've lived in France. Outside of England, of America, a younger dude gets with an older woman, and he's straight. Older woman can teach him something. Sex, sex, sex. He gets to a point in his life, 36, 46, where either he wants to keep going with this situation or he don't. Same thing with a younger woman. This is why they it's called May December romances. This is why in outside of America they prefer May December romances. They prefer older, because you get with this guy, he's older, you're a young girl, You get wet on command. You love giving head. It's great. You rolling around. He in his car. You stay at his flat. You you go do you're very appreciative. See, they don't do the whole take for granted thing as much as American women do. And this is why I try to tell dudes all the time, just get you an $800 ticket and go. Don't go visit. Go live in England for a while. You won't even you won't even have any comment toward. Go live in France for a while. You won't even have any comment about the USA women, any of them, including the white women. You'd be like, yeah, America, I'm good. You know, that's why I said hating on black women is a broke man's argument. Hating on black women is a broke man's argument because only a broke man has time to focus on what's behind him. Because a wealthy man is driving past those women. Nobody wants to hear it because everybody wants to be in the fantasy of we got to expose them. No, no, you don't. Just drive past them. Jeremy should not even care about these chicks. Jeremy should be too busy trying to be manager of the place he works at. Brock Lee shouldn't even be worried about these chicks. He should be too busy trying to take his money and open up a McDonald's with Inquisitive Prince. Inquisitive Prince shouldn't be caring about that. He should be too busy trying to get the bank loan so he can have his 300,000. Yeah, Europe is where feminism started. Very true. But feminism was not able to take hold in Europe. Feminism stopped at the right to vote. That was it. That's all they cared about. That's all they cared about. Feminism is a really an American thing because the women in Europe have to get on the battlefield and still and because they got to get on the battlefield and not like here in America where they're in a supportive role. No, the females got to get out there. And back in the days that you're talking about, 448, they had to get out there in dresses with guns and knives. See, feminism was only about the right to vote in Europe, the right to work. That's all they cared about. The minute they got that, feminism dropped fast. Didn't even care about it. And this is why 448, this is why everybody got to make sure they do research because what you don't want to get is small levels of information. You don't want to get little bits and pieces of information. You want to get the big information. They're going to have you tarred feather for sure. But it's an honest thing, man. It's an honest thing. Even like when O'Shea recently did a video where he said, "Hey, even Mr. Research talks about how black men talked about love." See, if more black men who listen to me were well researched before they get on the microphone, there would be no angry black men. If more men were well read before they get on the YouTube and say something. I heard a guy the other day, he's become kind of popular, and he says, this is a business. See, it's too many people that come on YouTube looking for the business part of talking to make money. And it ain't nothing wrong with it, but you're not helping your people when you're thinking as a business. When you're thinking as a business, you're constantly trying to put out a narrative. And you can't break narrative, King Sigma, Brock Lee, Jeremy. You can't break narrative when you're locked into making money off of it. Because the minute you hear a Jeremy video and now you realize that 49 of your videos is incorrect from your limited exposure to knowledge, you don't go back and delete those 49 videos. Listen to what I'm saying. You don't go back and delete those 49 videos because it's a business for you now. So you're willing to let those 49 videos stand and continue to make profit, even though you know King Sigma just informed you of how wrong your videos are. And you wonder why the ADOS people don't advance. Because what Massa did to us was tell us get the bag is more important. Get a bag full of cotton and I won't beat you. Outpick these other people and I'll let you get some gravy tonight with your biscuit. Get the bag does nothing. But our women are focused on get the bag. We have to be this and we have to be that. But King Sigma, if I try to change the laws, they're going to say, oh, no, no, no. If I change the law, if I can get a bunch of black men to change the law and say, hey, black women, here's what we will do. We will change this law. And this law says that a black man will go through a black man company and PayPal you money. And even if he can't PayPal you money because he lost his job, we gonna issue this black man a credit card. And we gonna make sure you get your money on time every time. And that black man gonna have to pay us back. Because we are better than the child support agency. And we less costly for everybody. But in return, black woman, just like the IRS, you're going to have to submit where this money goes to. And you know the first thing's going to happen? Black dudes are not going to realize how much that helps them in court. See, when we critique black women, we always got to remember one thing. Some of us black dudes are doing the exact same thing. Some of us black dudes are doing the exact same thing. That's why I said it's better to not critique to the point where you fall in love with critiquing. You critique so that if somebody hears it, they'll be helped by the information, not because you just want to critique, not because you want to make money. Now, let me go back to my original statement. See, many black women love teenage boys. And if they don't love teenage boys, they love boys in their 20s. You'll see, what's the first thing Wendy Williams did when she left her husband? She went and got a young teenage boy. What's the first thing happened when Selena Gomez got dumped? She went and got a 17-year-old. This is documented facts. What's the first thing happened when Halle Berry got dumped? She went and got a young 20-year-old. Do you think I'm making this up at this point? Do I keep having to give you the documented facts? These are not just facts. These are better than facts. These are documented facts. You see, a woman, it's okay to be a cougar. But if King Sigma is 60 years old, he's going to get called a dirty old man here in America. If Jeremy is 80 years old, he's going to get called a dirty-year-old man. But if Jeremy is an 80-year-old woman, he's going to get called a sexy cougar. Do you see what goes on? So my point in all this is saying, hey, look, black women here in the USA make it difficult for them to love because they're always seeking teenage boys. And they're always calling teenage boys men. Haven't you noticed? When somebody gets arrested and he's in his 20s, these black men, when somebody does something at 17, these black men, when somebody on YouTube, who sometimes is a white guy, says something to them, they don't even check and see. These black men, I've even seen Cynthia G call an Arab guy from Saudi Arabia a black man just because of his skin. Do you see the ignorance of this, King Sigma?
Yeah, I mean, you point out a hypocrisy. When a woman does it, she's called a cougar, but the man dating like let's say he's 50 and he's dating a woman who's at her peak at around 21. She's a girl. She's a little girl. Why that old man dating that little girl? But if she is 40 and she's dating a 17-year-old, he's a grown man and complaining about it when he leaves after getting what he needed. So it's just this hypocrisy. And my last upload that I did was called The Hidden Hand of Sex Trafficking. And this speaks to what you're talking about, is that when you actually get down there and you get in the weeds and you do the real thorough research, it becomes very, very difficult to argue with you. I've noticed that the more and more I do deeper readings into these feminist hypocrisies, the women really don't attack me like that anymore. They just don't come at me with the kind of aggression anymore.
It's difficult. It's documented.
Yeah, the documented facts and the documented canon that they either read in college or never read, but they're living their life based off actually reading it or hearsay. When you actually start using their canon, their codes against them, you will notice that they start to back off very quickly. I've noticed it a lot with these feminist hypocrites. Okay, I was waiting to see if you were going to do an upload on that Terrence Ferguson situation, because no one in this space had done one yet. And this fit into how you had brought attention to the Brian Banks case last year, but you didn't put it out there and no one has yet. I haven't had time to, but I hope that you do today, because it's another one of these Brian Banks hypocrisies. So Terrence Ferguson, he was accused in Oklahoma City of rape back in February 2018. Yep. And it ended up being like false charges again. We have to bring more attention to this hypocrisy of DAs not prosecuting these false rape claims.
Excuse me. And what did the DA do?
Dropped the case and just walked away without false rape charges against the accuser.
Absolutely nothing. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna let you speak on this because this is important that you specifically speak on this, because I think you're better at this question than I am. What do you say to the women who say, what woman would make false claims and embarrass herself like that or put herself subject to ridicule? And you just pointed out the DA did nothing.
The type of woman that will put out false rape accusation is one that's become artificially empowered and drunk off of entitlements unearned and believes that there will be no punishment for trying to hit the lottery. So from the standpoint of one of these accusers, one of these felons, to her, it's no big deal. Just like with Brian Banks, a woman doing false accusations can hit the lottery. We saw what happened with Brian Banks' accuser and her mother. They got paid half of $2 million because the other half, luckily, they found out after she admitted that she lied, after she was trying to hook up with Brian Banks 11 years later, 12 years later, but they got half of that money. So that's why they will do it, because she says her reputation. Well, what is a reputation to a broke, dingy chick? If she can get 500,000, or even just the feeling of, vindicating herself because maybe she got dumped by destroying the life of the person who in her eyes dared to dump her. Because a lot of times it's like revenge charges that in the moment, a very emotionally charged moment, these women will just call, well, he raped me. They found this out many times, like with the Ann Zanzari situation, when the Indian comedian dude, he thought he was a male feminist until he got with the wrong groupie, didn't give her what she wanted. She didn't even accuse him of rape, but just saying that she gave him the vagina, but she regretted giving him the sex and destroyed that man's career, man. Destroyed his career. And he had to do so much self-reflection after that because he had been one of the biggest advocates of believe all women. There's a reason. there's a reason why when it was happening to black men only, everybody was silent because we was going back to that Jim Crow American ethic, right? But the moment that white men and Asian men started getting that same treatment, now, oh no, Charlie, let's go ahead and back up off this believe all women now. Now, you ain't heard nothing from Me Too since the Joe Biden accusations are out there now. You haven't heard nothing from the white men since Weinstein got convicted. You haven't heard much from the Asian men. Ain't no Asian male feminists no more.
Let me jump in.
You got it?
You see, this is why American feminism is a joke. Someone asked me, I think it was 448. He asked me, didn't feminism start in Europe? I said, yeah, but they got what they wanted. The right to vote and factory jobs. That's all they cared about. You don't see nobody in Europe carrying that feminism flag. They can care less. Because women in Europe, here's the key factor. It's going to seem like it don't make sense, but here's the key factor. The reason feminism in Europe is not a big thing, I mean, they want to be appreciated for being females. Don't get that confused. So that level of feminism is still there. But there's no rally against men type of feminism the way it is here in America. And the number one reason, Mr. King Sigma, is because the women in Germany, the women in France, the women in England, they get drafted just like men and get on the same battlefield. So there is a level of appreciation when the women say, you go, boys. You know, our boys. You'll hear England say that a lot. Our boys, our men, our sons. You hear women. I ain't talking about dudes. You hear women saying that because they know I get to stay home because this bloke is willing to put, I'm going to talk English, willing to put himself forward and get it sorted out. There's an appreciation. Because if he don't do it, then I got to pick this rifle up with my skirt and go out here to Afghanistan. Maybe wear pants. They got an infection. So go wear these pants and get out here with these guys at Israelis. A lot of those Israeli women get out there and fight right along with those dudes. And because of that, you don't have a lot of that feminism talk because the same person was talking about feminism at 19 is a French girl with her arm blown off and appreciates somebody loving her with her arm blown off. Go ahead, King Sigma.
Well, those are good points. I'm glad you brought up because, again, we're actually in that same situation right now where the United States, the Congress had put together a group to study the selective service and how it was actually reverse discrimination against men to give women all these quote unquote entitlements, but then to not require them to register for the selective service at 18. And now the proposal that's before Congress and the courts right now is that they're going to require American women now to register for the selective service. And if you know about the selective service, there's many things that you're barred from getting from the government, grants, certain jobs, or whatever, if you are not registered for the selective service. And now women are going to be just like those women over in England. But fortunately for us, the coronavirus did more than the men's right movement could do, more than these changes in laws could do. The coronavirus has put feminism in its fourth wave manifestation to the ultimate test. It's one thing to have ideologies and ideas and argue back and forth all day, get little policies in place in a peacetime. But ultimately, feminism's whole theory is that women are equal to a men, but a lot of the fourth wave feminists argue that women are even better, and if given an opportunity, even if it's artificially created by the state, they will perform better across the board than men, and that ultimately they don't need men. Now, here we are in one of the rare opportunities in our lifetime to put the feminists to the test, and guess what? Fourth wave feminists are damn near brutally silent, definitely silent right now. I don't hear anything coming from the fourth wave feminists over the last 2 months now. Matter of fact, those same fourth wave feminists are probably the biggest ones signing up to be OnlyFans, cam girls, and digital thoughts. The same women. Now they want a hero to come down. Now they're looking for Clark Kent to turn into Superman because of this coronavirus pandemic hit them. And they know now that the unemployment is at around 30% nationally, and many of those jobs aren't coming back, that fourth wave feminism don't sound and feel the same no more. It ain't as attractive no more when you know that you're going to have to compete in an open economy where everyone is in survival mode. You and me are not safe. I'm a government employee. And even with a union protection of ASME, I'm not safe, but I'm a little bit more safe than some. These women know that we're in the most competitive job market going forward over the next decade, and we weren't even prepared for it. And that fourth wave feminism just not hit the same.
And the thing for men to understand, this ain't your moment to go, ha ha. This ain't your moment to go, see. Now, get in your convertible and drive past the cries. Mm-hmm. Drive past the pleading for help. Drive past it. Say, no, I believe in women's rights. No, I believe you're independent. No, pick up that box yourself. No. Mr. Jonathan, the floor is yours.
I agree because we can't do a hard thing because right now it's about strategy, because since most everybody's in the house, it's definitely time for strategy. And that's not being strategic, pretty much saying because you're being distracted on getting the one up on somebody instead of like Mr. Research say, get on the convertible, drive past, focus on your next mission.
Let's take some.
And Mr. Research was right about how UK feminism is different than United American feminism. Because American feminism, they seem like they want to cut the heads off of men, while still asking the men to help me with the ladder.
Now, I want you to work on something. For some reason, your connection is always, maybe it's the region you in, but when you get a chance, I want you to Google where the repeaters are in your area close to you, because it could be a service thing, and you might want to switch to a service where the repeater close to you, because like sometimes Verizon repeaters are closer, sometimes Metro repeaters are closer, sometimes Cricket and Metro have the same repeaters, but you want to look for the repeaters in your area, because sometimes when you talk, there's a big gap of missed information that we get because we don't hear you, and then you'll come back on, which means that you've been talking the whole time. So just look into that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me
okay, for sure. I wrote that down.
Let me share this also, because I want to go back to the love aspect, and we need to be loving and talk loving. I personally adore Black women, but here's the thing. I'm from the streets. I'm not a sucker. And I'm not going to have a discussion about being a sucker. I'm not going to have a discussion about modifying my wolf way of living. I adore Black women, but I know how to walk away quietly. I know how to take my power and my protection away. I have nothing to fear from a 6'6" dude. I have nothing to fear from a 6'6" dude that's 250. Like my friends tell me all the time, you a big dude, but you move quick. Yeah. So my girl has nothing to be afraid of. The thing I try to tell women is when you don't appreciate protection from the advanced black man, he ain't going to be verbal. He's going to be gone. You're going to wake up during the zombie apocalypse and this dude's gone with the resources that was in the house. He just saw you as inability to keep up, inability to discipline your mouth. It's kind of like this scene in a zombie movie where somebody said, where the woman, it's called Here Alone, where the woman says, stop. And he's the one that said, no, we got to get out the house. We got to go out to this cabin that my dad used to take me to. I'm going to show you how to fish. I'm going to show you how to hunt. And they saw this couple walking on the road. And she said, stop. They have kids. And he turned to her and said, and we have a child. See, my question to both of you gentlemen, we'll start with King Sigma. Why does the USA black woman think that love is all about obeying her?
Well, I think it just goes back to the fact that when you're talking about the modern woman, which would be represented more so by the boomers, Generation X, and the millennial and zennial women, it's been a long line over the last 50 years of them being told that they run the black community. And so they've taken on that responsibility without the obligations of it. So it was passed down to them from women who had fathers, who had husbands. So it was mostly just rhetoric. It was a peacetime rhetoric. Now, these younger women, under 40, for example, find themselves in a wartime environment in competition for, resources. And that ideology that was passed down to them by their grandmothers is useless. So this is why they think that, because it's something that they've accepted as a rule of living. And even though the men have been slowly over each generation leaving, and now we have this new census coming out at the end of the year, I'm predicting that the marriage out rate will be around 30%, but that doesn't really tell you the truth because it's mostly about the dating. We're in a non-marriage society now. So unfortunately, they haven't come out with a way yet of measuring what percentage of black men and black women as well are no longer dating other Native Black Americans now. See, that would really be the test because the marriage rate is so low in America. It's telling to learn that the marriage out rate is 15 to 30, but it doesn't tell the real story because we have to know, who are you dating?
Well, you cannot track dating. It's impossible. But aside from that, the only reason, and this is why I argue with BGS over this, the only reason that marriage numbers have dropped is because 13-year-old and 15-year-olds no longer get married like they did in the 60s and prior. So 13-year-olds and 15-year-olds used to get married. Proof of this, documented proof of this, is that when you look at the Department of Justice, you will see that marriage extends to 15. It's not an 18-year-old, 20-year-old thing. So there was a point in time in the 20s and 30s where 15-year-olds and 13-year-olds got married all the time and nobody thought nothing of it. I think about Jerry Lee Lewis, the white guy who played the piano, and he married his cousin and nobody thought nothing of it at the time because it wasn't a big thing, So that's one of the reasons they've dropped across the board. The other reason is because of women being independent and having the laws in their favor. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because now it releases everybody. Yes, but here's the problem. The children are now damaged. We're going to go to Jonathan and let him get some mic time. I'm going to come right back to you, King Sigma. The children are now being damaged, and the children are not beneficiaries of these moves that Busting the Nut is making. Matter of fact, I'm very disappointed about many of the guys who travel, bust a nut, and leave the woman there with his baby to whatever happens. I remember in Japan as well as China, you had a bunch of babies being left on the train, black babies being left on the train, and is people find babies and they would just kill these babies because nobody's going to do nothing with this baby. One woman saved the baby. So it's that type of stuff that goes on. Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
I think that's tasteless. I find that's the end result of pumping and dumping don't help nobody. Pumping and dumping doesn't help absolutely no one. That shit is tasteless, and that's irresponsible. That's a boy mentality. That's definitely a boy mentality.
Well, the same thing happened to Stacey Dash. Her dad wanted some Mexican punani, went down to the southern part of Mexico, got him a darker skinned Mexican, had fun, had her, brought her into the family structure, and then just abandoned her and let her figure out on her own. That's the hard part. That's why so many times, but once again, Black America, he was not a Black American. See, that's something about Stacey Dash's father. Nobody really, he's Bayesian. He's not Black American, he's Caribbean. And just like Kamala Harris's daddy is Caribbean. But everybody likes to use the black card when it's convenient. When it's positive, they use the black card. When it's the negative, they want to hide. It's a weird thing. Let me get the final thoughts, gentlemen, because I need to do my push-ups and my sit-ups. Please, let's start.
Shit, I'm about to do my cardio right now.
There you go, buddy. And
I'm about to do my morning cardio right now.
And listen to this playback, Jonathan, because I want you to hear how your voice goes in and out, man. Sometimes we do like 2 minutes with you, and we only heard 20 seconds of what you said. So it'd be like that sometime, buddy. Jonathan,
my bad, man. Spectrum has been fucking up in my area.
Yeah, man. You got to up level that. Go ahead, Jonathan. Final words.
I have to agree with you that it's definitely a boy mentality. A lot of these women keep categorizing men, and the fucked up part about it is it's that percentage of men that they want. It's the percentage of the men that they want that they always want to spin off as Black men. Totally. Like, I don't know if it's lack of cognitive dissonance skills or vetting skills, but it's bad. It's bad because all men get put in this category wrongfully.
Thank you very much for coming up, Jonathan. Let's get King Sigma on his finals. King Sigma, what are your finals, sir? Please educate the people. Mr. Sigma.
Yeah, Mr. Researcher there?
Yeah, go ahead and educate the people.
Yeah, thanks for just, putting this conversation out there, man. I think that the way that you simplified it is really good. How you talk about a lot of these ABW really do just want to dictate and control. So what it is that you have a group of people who want absolute freedom without absolute responsibility. There's an inverse relationship with freedom and responsibility. And you can use the artificial state to a certain extent, but the artificial state only exists through other people. And then the question becomes, what happens when other people say, okay, you're going to have these freedoms, but we're going to take away this artificial state and crutch that's holding you up. Do you really want that freedom? And I think what's happening is that as more and more Black men in the rank and file have just said, like you've been saying for a long time, just drive past them, because that's where most Black men are. Let's not act as if the men that come on these spaces speaks for the majority. Most dudes just they're living that life that you're talking about, where they're just driving by, they're cool. Some of us do choose to have more of a deeper discussion for many reasons, but a lot of these dudes in reality are just driving by. They're walking away, they're moving to Montana. So I think that what is happening to a lot of the women that are not listening to those like yourself is that they're getting what they want. They're getting that peen that they can control, but that comes with spinsterhood as well. Because eventually that young boy, you know, or that young man wakes up and he sees that he can get a better deal and he's gone. Or because there's so much competition amongst those spinster women for any man that they can get around or young boy, he has those options. So it's always going to come back to, what are you going to do about the fact that you have to compete? And I think for a lot of these women, it's a little bit too late for them. And I would hope that they will make those sacrifices, that they will say to the young woman that's under 18 right now, don't do what we did. Don't listen to your grandmother. Don't listen to your mother. Do the exact opposite of everything that we did, because look at the disaster that we've created. So that's what I hope. But as far as me, I'm one of those people that, for the most part, I only talk about things to the extent that it can be looked at in a deep way and provoke a really deep conversation. Outside of that, I'm in the drive right past them crowd. I've been in it. So
Yeah.
that's my hope for the younger women, is that maybe the younger women will get a hold of guys like yourself, or maybe the women that made those mistakes will start to finally admit that they failed the last 3 generations, and tell the young women that we're not going to compete with you. We're going to prepare you to compete in this very competitive sexual marketplace. But that's my final thought. Thanks a lot, Mr. Research.
And look for this video that I'm going to upload. A white father married to a black woman. You know what's so amazing? What I try to tell my men's rights group, and when I do these men's rights videos, I try to tell them that white men really are the reason that these female laws exist, and white men and their overzealous need to protect girls, their daughters, is the reasons why they make these laws against sons. And this video that I'm going to upload, you'll see how this white father is like, oh, I'm really against the women being in the draft. I don't want to put them through that. And immediately his biracial daughter says, I don't know why my dad said that. I'd love to go. And that disappointed look on his white face, like, oh my God, none of my teaching has gotten through.
I look forward to that one, man. Hopefully you'll speak on the Terrence Ferguson, because I know you'll do a good job of speaking on it. But I'll definitely look for that video, man, because again, I'm glad you bring up the fact that white men at every stage over the last 6 years were the ones that were behind the rise of third and fourth wave feminism. They take no accountability for that. And that's why I say that black men, our experience in dealing with misandry is not the same as white men. No doubt there are some overlaps, but our situation, we've been the victim. We've been more of the victim of misandry than any other male group in America or in the West. So I look forward to that video. But thanks for having me on, Mr. Research. You have a good day, bro.
All right. We keep losing Green Machine. We're going to wait for him just a little bit, get his final thoughts. But here's the thing. What people don't understand, as much as black women try their hardest to carry the water of white women, to carry the backpack of white women, do you realize if we black men really wanted patriarchy, we combine with the white man and tell the white man, look, just hire us black men. We'll get it back to the way it used to be, 1930, 1950. And you know, because see, that's been the white man's number one problem. Green Machine, where are you? I'm trying to wait for you. That's been the white man's number one problem. The fact that he's so intimidated by us as black men. But now the son of the white man is buddies with the black dude. So if we start bonding, just like the black women do, I'm just taking a note from the black women. When people ask me, well, you would bond with the white guy, ain't that what our females are doing? But let me end this on a love note. Mr. Green Machine doesn't appear like he can connect. Let me end this on a love note. black women make it hard when they create these wars. If you want young boys, if you don't call them men, it just makes no sense. And having this hate for older dudes makes no sense either. It's it's one of the reasons why you guys are suffering in the dating market. Because outside of America, this is why you don't succeed when you go traveling, because most younger dudes are not trying to be with women their age. They're trying to be with seasoned women their age. Women with a lot of accolades, speak 2 or 3 languages. You're not just going to be able to just show up. I always think about that show, Dating in Italy show, where nobody got married. They all went out there, dated, had sex, and were sent right back to America. Not one of them got married. And the woman who created the show, Miss Valentine, spent 10 years promoting white men only to marry a black man in the end. Because the black man was the only one who would marry her. Same thing as Tarana Burke. That's why black women make it too difficult, and it's not logical. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for the people who donated. I appreciate that. And for people who cannot donate, please share it on your Facebook, your Instagram, or your TikTok. Much love. Peace.